Can I just tell you how I have found myself back in the toxicity of Clubhouse?
How? Oh
I
my gosh.
know. So
How?
last night, literally, and mind you, it's not like I don't have anything to do today, like our recording time is great because it's, later in the day, like, things are taken care of and whatever. But like I work today and I was up until 3:30 this morning.
Talking to people?
Yeah, so I might leave part of this in, but yeah, I basically landed in a room that was saying like don't date career women. And I was like, and it was a Forbes article or something. And I was like, that's weird.
What?
So I just went in to listen and they were talking about it. And so I was like, hey, well, like I'd come up and I was like, hey, like, well, I'm a career woman and or don't marry career women. But I'm like, hey, I'm a career woman and da, 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 and just sharing my experience. And yes, I'm divorced now, but it wasn't because of my career. Anyway, so it just turned into this whole thing where they were like bashing me. Mind you, the tags on the room were like Muslim and relationships. Evidently, there are tags that you can add now. And so I can understand. And I said, I understand that there are cultural differences, which is totally valid, totally respect that. I'm just sharing my experience and, you know, I, I that's what I'm sharing. And so eventually this other lady comes on the stage, who's another Black woman, it's probably in the US somewhere. And she's like, Donna, acknowledge that there are cultural differences. She's sharing her experience. And I was like, listen, this isn't for me because I'm telling you this. And it's like, you just want to poke holes in something. You want to, and oops, dang it. That's okay. I'm very literally telling y'all the truth. I have no reason to lie about this. And sure, I'm telling you, quote unquote, my side, but my ex-husband would say the same thing in terms of what happened. And, I feel like I believe that I come across as I would imagine, very genuine person and just very upfront. Like, why do I need, I don't know. Maybe I don't to other people. If you don't know, like, I don't know, but I'm like, why would I make this up? And why would I come and share all of this just to be like, yeah, but it really was my career. I was like, no, like I was able to make dinner every night. My husband, I didn't say this part, but I'm like, he's denying me despite my efforts and my communication with him. I said this part of communication, like, well, I would say like, hey, like, what's going on? Can we just touch base? Like, are there things that I used to do that I don't do anymore? Or things that I'm doing now that I didn't before, or, just to get on the same page. And I'm sharing it like this to these people. Right. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, oh, well, you mentioned infidelity and you're a career woman and clearly you didn't have time for him. And I was like, this is okay. And also, like, you're not going to question who I am as a person and my integrity. And then to bring my parenting into it, because, my son went to a daycare. I was like, there are very literal early childhood educators who do it better than me. And I'm not equipped to be a stay-at-home mom. I think it's beautiful for people who can, but that's not what I'm equipped for. And and they tried to say, oh, you took the easy route. I was like, it's not about easy. It's about, hey, this makes me feel fulfilled to go to work. And my child is with people who are experts, very literal experts in what they're doing. And they have seen 200 6-month-olds. I've seen one.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So anyway, it just turned into this whole thing. So then the lady and I opened a different room. And so we were talking and then turned into this whole thing. Just was sharing like my experience and they just wanted to poke holes in it, which was frustrating because I'm like, I'm not trying to have my mind change. I'm just saying like my career did not have anything to do with the dissolution of my marriage. Very literally, it did not. And so I just was trying to provide that perspective from experience and not where they were trying to quote, oh, there's 40% of this and that and da 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 da. And so there are other people who are like, y'all are taking that from a Western world statistics that doesn't have to do with your world because they're in like an Islamic country, which is perfectly fine. And so eventually they kick that other lady off the stage and they put in the chat, respectfully, sister, like this is meant for Muslims, and you've talked enough. And they tried to pull some black woman stereotypes, saying that she was too loud. And I was like, no, we're absolutely not. Anyway, and so I was like, if you're talking about this conversation is for Muslim people, you wouldn't have a room. Because if this idea that women in the Muslim culture are mostly stay-at-home wives and mothers, you don't have a conversation to be had, because this isn't applicable to you, as you say, is your culture, which is respectful. That's fine. That's respectable. But like, you don't have an argument.
They're there to be in an echo chamber, and you would have never won that, because they've had their mind made up anyway. So everything that you say, the narrative has to apply. And so even if holes can't be poked, they're going to be placed, Yeah, that's exactly why I was like, you know what, I'm going to remove myself. And I got pretty passionate. I don't yell. I'm not like a yeller, but I was like, what we're not going to do is sit up here and start to question who I am as a mother, who I am as a wife, or who I was as a wife. And more than anything, not as a person. I have no reason to lie to you guys. I'm telling you the truth. My ex-husband would do the same. And I did mention that this is a better, that we still have a whole family in a sense. We have a whole family's, a loving, wholesome experience for him, even though we're divorced, because we do, X, Y, Z. And all they wanted to do was just to be like, you're wrong. It just, to blame you.
Yeah. And I was like, this literally was, if it was, I'd be like, listen, I fucked up, like at this, XYZ point, and I shouldn't have, or whatever, but I didn't. Like,
they don't want to hear what you have to say.
And they're like, you shouldn't be giving advice on relationships. I was like, I'm not giving advice.
I'm
just
giving
saying,
the experience.
Like giving someone's experience doesn't necessarily mean that they're giving advice. They're just giving a take. And if we're having a discussion about it, that doesn't mean that you then try and attack my experience to tell me that I shouldn't have been working, especially when it's something that my ex-husband, even now, and I told him this, like, he supports, he understands that's what brings me fulfillment. That's what I like. I enjoy it, but also it makes me a better mom, because I feel good at the end of the day to be like, I got my work done. I can go ahead and take care of my family. My son, he's happy. He is healthy. He understands that there is a good harmony amongst everything.
Yeah. What world are we in that people are just able to not work either? Like, I'm so confused. Like, that, like,
right.
Eggs are $7. Like, come on.
I gotta send you this video of this man talking about eggs. It was so funny.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Oh God, Clubhouse is back. I tried to log in and it wouldn't even let me in. Like, I couldn't remember credentials and stuff. I was like, this is not meant to be.
Yeah, it did get to the point where, like, I had to download the app again. Not download, but when it's been inactive so long, it's like you have to download it from the cloud.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, at the very least, it was, it fills some time, I guess.
Yeah.
For better or worse. I know.
Okay. Before we do, I do have to shout this out. This isn't my Now We Know, but I ran down to the Target today. And I walked out with my Tabitha Brown. This is probably backwards.
Donna's product.
I got the vegan cherry and granola trail mix, and it's delicious. It's so good. Oh,
it's food. It's not even her hairline. I thought it was gonna be her hairline.
There's all kinds of stuff. I don't know if there's hair stuff, but I saw plates and like kitchenware and stuff. I just got the snacks. I heard there's really good vegan cream cheeses. Yeah, it's good. I like it. And awesome. I don't often get trail mix because Michael's allergic to tree nuts. And so I pretend I'm allergic to tree nuts, but I was like, oh, I have to. Anyway, I highly recommend.
Yeah. Okay, so for what we're really here for is to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah. If y'all haven't seen this movie, you definitely need to check it out. It's about 2 hours long. It used to be on HBO, but we found out as we were trying to prepare for this episode that it is no longer available on HBO. So we watched it on Prime. But Judas and the Black Messiah focuses on Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party. For some context here, we'll give a little bit of a quick rundown of who Fred Hampton was. and the Black Panther Party. So Fred Hampton was born on August 30th in 1948 in Chicago and was killed December 4th of 1969, also in Chicago. He was an American civil rights leader and deputy chairman of the Black Panther Party's Illinois chapter, who formed the city of Chicago's first Rainbow Coalition. Hampton was killed during a raid on his residence by Chicago police officers on December 4th in 1969. The Black Panther Party, originally called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, is an African-American revolutionary party that was founded in 1966 in Oakland, California by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. The party's original purpose was to patrol African-American neighborhoods to protect residents from acts of police brutality. The Panthers eventually developed into a Marxist revolutionary group that called for the arming of all African-Americans, the exemption of African-Americans from the draft and from all sanctions of so-called white America, the release of all African-Americans from jail, and the payment of compensation to African-Americans for centuries of exploitation by white Americans, also known as reparations. And at its peak in the late 1960s, Panther membership exceeded 2,000, and the organization operated chapters in several major American cities. So again, Judas and the Black Messiah, Fred Hampton in Chicago, Black Panthers. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So I had actually seen this movie before, right after its release on digital, which I can't remember. Was that the release? It might have came out both in theaters and on digital at the same time. So it was like a whoosh thing, an overwhelming like marketing, watch this movie. And I did not watch the movie because I was not in the mood for more Black pain in 2020. It was pretty intense during that time. So I was like, okay. But when I finally settled in to watch the movie, unfortunately, I wasn't really familiar with exactly how his death had taken place. I knew that he had been killed by the police. I knew that it was a brutal in-home murder, but I hadn't understood the Judas part, that he was betrayed by an informant, William O'Neill. Now that I've seen the movie twice, I'm kind of like remembering glimpses of that information from my, education growing up. But that was really shocking to take in as an adult. So the Judas of Judas and the Black Messiah is William O'Neill. He's also from Chicago area, and he was a car thief. And with his history of criminal activity, he was definitely taken advantage of by the FBI. And we'll get into the intricate details of all that, but he played a huge role in the downfall and the murder of Fred Hampton, and hence the Judas moniker.
Exactly. And really part of the that downfall, as they're opening the movie, right? They're kind of giving a precedent of the time. It's in the 60s. It's definitely a heightened time for the civil rights movement, a lot of revolution happening, a lot of civil fighting, if you will. I guess a little different than the Civil War explicitly, but more on a day-to-day basis. And so you have that Black Panther Party, this chapter being in Chicago, and the downfall of Fred Hampton, as Jonathan was mentioning, is about is due to Bill. Can we call him Bill, or should we?
Yeah, sure. We'll go with Bill.
We'll call him Bill. And how he really infiltrated the Black Panther Party because he was trying to get himself off.
Yeah.
And not be in trouble for the things that he did. And so the U.S. had this program called COINTELPRO, and it's for the counterintelligence program. So basically, this was conducted by the FBI from 1956 to 1971 to discredit and neutralize organizations considered subversive to U.S. political stability, which even just understanding a tiny bit of what the Black Panther Party was, this was like their target, right?
Yeah.
It was covert and often used extra legal means to criminalize various forms of political struggle and derail several social movements, such as those for civil rights and Puerto Rican independence. And so this is super controversial. It still is, at the time was, because of their efforts to really get information and get intel on the Black Panther Party by using people who looked like them, going back to the all kinfolk isn't skin folk. All kinfolk isn't skin folk. Dang it, you know what I'm saying? Going back to how all skin folk isn't kinfolk idea. And it was astonishing. Like, what's your overall grasp of the movie? And then we'll get to the more specific timeline, I guess, as everything progresses.
Well, so the movie itself, like as a product, as a film, is gorgeous. It's a beautiful movie. They pay respect to those who deserve respect, and they do put light on the manipulation of those who may be marred by this history. I'm not saying that. I think Bill didn't really have many options there. Not to exonerate him, because duh, but I don't think he had many options, and the FBI knew that was the case. I thought that the way that each character was portrayed was heart forward. It definitely focused on the humanity of each character. Let's talk performances briefly. Obviously, Daniel Kaluuya, he won Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. Duh, he did an amazing job. I would have thought he was a lead. Let me actually double check. Did he get, let's see. Yeah, he got Best Supporting Actor. And it totally makes sense. He did a great job. And then also our Judas, our Bill O'Neill, Lakeith Stanfield, I think did a wonderful job. He did his portrayal, again, from a human stance, trying to understand now with hindsight what someone going through that might be feeling and doing. And there's a really powerful scene towards the end of the movie where you start to see Bill fully break down. And Lakeith did such a great job with that role. And they did such a great job of portraying it. Now, a lot of the conversations that happen within the dialogue of the movie, I felt it was maybe a little bit Wikipedia-ish, but we need that. I didn't know the details about Bill O'Neill, so I kind of needed a little bit of explanation. But gosh, what a great movie. Yeah, overall, I loved it. What did you think? I did
too. I agree. I thought it was really well done. And it was fascinating to follow each character as like what they were going through. It felt like it came across very genuine and very like authentic in a way. Especially thinking about like his girlfriend, and she's pregnant and he's in jail, and she didn't even tell him till he got out. And then, she's still pregnant. And then that's when the rape happened, in weeks, like 3 weeks before she gave birth, stuff like that. It's like, holy, it just, you can get those feelings from each character based upon their role. And I thought that was pretty powerful.
It was so well done. It was such an internal movie, if that makes any sense. Like I felt like we were inside of all the thoughts. And then of course the overarching goal and theme was betterment for the people, period. Everything that they did was about that, including I forget because she changed her name, the girlfriend's name.
Oh, she changed her name to was it Akua Njeri?
Nkua Njeri. That story, like you said, her concealing her pregnancy for as long as she could, her being in the bed when the bullets came through the drywall, her telling the story. There's a wonderful Vox video of her retelling the story, and they splice it up with her interviews from back in, it might have been 69, if not 70, using the same language. She remembers it clear as day.
Yeah.
And that is just the most traumatic thing. And no one should have to go through that. But God damn it, Black people unifying is such a threat that those kind of concessions are made. We have to suffer for the rest of our living days because I don't want you Blacks getting any good ideas. You know what I mean? I don't want you doing anything. And at this time, it was the beginning of the Black Panther Party. So it was the free breakfast program and just trying to get things rolled out. Like Black Panthers started in 1966, and that was the year that Fred Hampton got involved and got recruited to be a part of the Illinois chapter. Right at the beginning, it barely got its legs before there was bloodshed coming along.
Right. And I mean, like you said, it's the breakfast program, but they also had schools and free legal aid. And we're really doing well for the community in this idea of, hey, we're all going to come together. As we go along the movie, too, you learn about kind of the quick snippets of like, OK, here's the Black Panther Party. Here's COINTELPRO. Here's Bill O'Neill, that the FBI cons into joining forces with them, and kind of seeing like he wanted to be a cop also to some degree, or at least use that as a facade to trick people or whatever. And so, he was facing, it was 18 months for car theft and then 5 years for impersonating an officer. So instead of doing 6.5 years of jail time, he was like, nope, I'm going to become an informant. I don't know which is worse, frankly. I have no idea. But I can't even fathom either. But that's the path that he decided to take, right? Yeah. And so, as they really sort of set the scene of what the sentiment is from each player in this game, the COINTELPRO and the Black Panthers, or like Panthers in Chicago. The Black Panthers are like, hey, we need this revolution. Like, it really needs to change and be overhauled, not just have what he had mentioned is reform, referencing that as the gradual change that the master wants instead of revolution. What did he say? So he said revolution, but then they're mentioning this sort of candy-coated facade of reform teaching the slaves to keep doing the work and just wait, just be patient and it'll come. Instead of revolution is like, no, like this is going to be this massive overhaul. They also mentioned that war is politics with bloodshed, but politics is war without bloodshed, which I thought that was really powerful. And definitely kind of summarize exactly what, hell, you can even say that for today, right?
Yeah. I got a chance to check out a speech from Fred Hampton before we hopped on this recording. And Daniel got the voice. He got the voice. He got the mannerisms. Great job. But also it was interesting to hear so many of the talking points that I'm so used to hearing today back then. And I say back then, like it wasn't, like 60 years ago, like, or I guess he was killed 54 years ago. Like that's, he would have been 75 years old this year. Like that's not that long ago. My mom is 72. Yeah.
Right.
Like
I was going to say they're
everything in
our parents' age.
Right. But in his speech, he was running on a platform, even though he wasn't running for political office, of socialism. He was explaining socialism and how the Black Panther Party was participating in that by helping the community and how well it had been working thus far and how we need he said everybody in Chicago has to take part for this to be a revolution. And another interesting thing, and I think this is how I knew about Fred Hampton in the first place when I was a kid, was that he created the Rainbow Coalition, which was a grouping of mini groups like the Black Panthers. We had a Puerto Rican group, the Young Lords, and then we had the Young Patriots, which were mostly Appalachian white folks, usually poor. But the whole point of the Black Panthers was that, or I'm sorry, the Rainbow Coalition was that it's anti-classist. It is going to bring everyone together. And in the speech that I got to see, he said, we're going to work with everybody with revolution on their mind. And I thought that was really interesting just because there are people who have status quo in mind that try to work with status quo for reform purposes. And look at Bill O'Neill, you know what I mean? Like wanting to be a part of the process, wanting to be a cop at some point, all this stuff, and look how that turned out.
Right.
It was really interesting that that Fred could see past any sort of racial biases or anything like that and say, the focus is the mission, the focus is the focus. And like, if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, let's do something about this together. And they did. And it was, I don't know if that necessarily happens today in the same way, because we are even more divided than we were then. And we have more technology to connect us.
And like, it seemed like we're divided in different ways. You know, it's not as maybe apparent, or we're not working together in the same ways that they were, which is maybe not to say that we are. Is divided the right word? I'm trying to think, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't, is it that strong? Disconnected.
Yeah, there's definitely disconnection. And there's all these conversations about political sides. We'll just say left, right, and we're falling apart. And it's like, well, falling apart is kind of what we've been doing. And so to see that example of the Rainbow Coalition and this idea kind of working, it was really inspirational, even though we also know how that turned out. But I think what he offered at the time is what he offers now in his legacy, which is this hope that we can do it if we all get together, you know, and put our minds together and work on the focus and not work on like the individual thought. We have to be utilitarian and do what's best for the whole.
There's another, I tried to write down as many of these like little nuggets that he mentioned, especially as the speeches were going on in the beginning. Like, they're more prevalent in the beginning of the movie. But he said people are rebelling because of conditions, not individuals. And so the people who take it personally, where they're like, they're attacking me, or they, you know, they want my rights too, and whatever. It's like, no, it's not about you. It's the conditions of which people are living, and the things that they're experiencing. And we say it all the time because of a system, and people are like, it's not the system. Like, there's nothing, you know, but it is, though. Like, just because you can't see in the way that something was formed, and how it continues to perpetuate this idea that certain people should be in certain places, whether that be high, low, or meet in between, that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Yeah. And I think also what helps with these movies is bringing the ideas and these people and these histories and these thoughts to the forefront. What hurts by making these movies is that it somewhat fictionalizes it to people, and it also places it in a history where they think, well, they lived in a black and white world. They didn't even have Technicolor. Like, this was so long ago. And it's like, you don't understand how closely linked this is to today. And with the FBI probe, and this might have been the reason why this movie started being produced in the first place, but you might remember in 2017, there were leaked FBI documents that called out the interest in looking at Black identity extremists. Do you remember when that was happening?
I don't remember that not explicitly.
So there's a news channel that got FBI detail, whatever. And
is it a certain news channel, or are you saying a news channel as a, you don't know?
I don't know how I feel about I just don't watch them. So I'm like, it's a news channel anyway.
Okay, we can keep with the news channel. I didn't know if you were saying like a certain news channel and it was like Fox News or something. You know what I mean? I thought that was code, but I wasn't sure. Okay, go ahead. We'll just keep with a news channel. Go ahead.
If it was Fox, I'd say Fox. I name my demons. But they got their hands on FBI detail that had a program called Iron Fist. This is 2017, so this is post Trayvon. This is right after Mike Brown. This is as Black Lives Matter is ramping up. And in the documents, they are identifying people who are Black identity extremists, whatever the fuck that means. And they have the intention of spying on and surveilling these leaders. And then here in St. Louis, I'm right here by Ferguson. Ferguson isn't some faraway place. Ferguson is 10 minutes down a road. You know what I mean? Well, for me, it's 25, but it's like here. And that was really igniting a lot of people across the country to become involved, kind of like how Fred Hampton was trying to gather people in and being like, this is a problem. Like Ferguson and those activists were saying, this is a problem. And then to the FBI, that became a problem. And there was a time, and I'm sure it's still happening today, it's just less in the news, where leaders like activists were being found dead. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't necessarily clear if it was vigilante action, if it was government action. But with these FBI documents having been leaked and the terminology Black identity extremists, it certainly sounds a lot like COINTELPRO. It kind of feels a lot like what was going on a mere 54 years ago, and it's still here. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's just when movies like this come out, there is unfortunately too close of a link to what's happening in the current, and having it be a movie, having it be cinematic can make it feel like it's no longer an issue, like we have solved it, And I think it's a good and bad that comes with filmmaking and storytelling.
Because it makes it seem like it was so long ago, because even like the verbiage that they were using, the clothing that they were wearing, the cars that were there, it seems like a very past tense sort of thing. And until there's, a current day, unfortunately, I don't want to say replication, but, something that is similar in current day, which wouldn't be produced for another same 50, something years.
Until 2017 is a long, long time ago.
Exactly. To make it seem like it was, so long ago and it's no longer happening. But that's why people say, like, when someone comes out and is like telling the truth about whatever, and they're like, protect so-and-so at all costs, and it's like, that's why, because will come after you.
Yeah.
That's what they mean.
Yeah. I think that Fred Hampton was being protected by his people, and he knew that. He acknowledged that in his speeches, like, I'm being targeted. We are targeted. Us leaders especially are being targeted. So it's not going to be me. It's not going to be me that's going to continue this. I need everybody else here that believes in this mission to continue, because he knew that was going to come. And I think there's also just this understanding when people take on the role of becoming an activist or leading a revolution or trying to get one started, they understand that this is a cause that they most likely will have to die for.
Yeah.
And if it's homicide, especially by the state, it will be justified because they will be considered extremists. And that's a threat.
And it was the idea to try and get people to believe so negatively about something or a group of people or someone to get to the point of then hating them enough or disliking them enough to believe in their cause to be more important than having that person continue on and attack them and kill them, basically.
Yeah.
I really loved how we had talked about, or we texted about Dominique Thorne, who played Junie Harmon. To your point of how he was surrounded by people who were protecting him. She definitely was like, she was all about it. She started questioning things. She started realizing that Bill was getting kind of uncomfortable when they were in these big group settings. I believe they were meeting with the Crowns or one of the other organizations in the area. And they're talking about, I don't know if they were talking about coming together or whatever, but maybe it was like a territory thing, allegedly territory, but the Black Panthers were like, hey, no, like this is for everybody. Come and join us, come help the community. And one of the members of the other organization noticed and recognized Bill from his attempt at stealing the car in the beginning of the movie. And so he's like, you're a Fed, because he had that fake cop badge, yeah. And so he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, so you see those cracks of, like, it makes you wonder if you don't know like the entire story. And even I learned as I watched it, because I know that Fred was killed, but I didn't know that there was any point that they ever found out that he was that Bill was an informant. And so I was curious to know if that was going to be the crack to get Bill kicked out or frankly hurt in the movie, or maybe he would disappear in a different way. But that didn't, or not even just a movie, but in real life, like I wasn't sure if that was going to come into play. And so Judy in the movie, Dominique Thorne, she definitely noticed that, hold on, he's getting real uncomfortable. Actually, some of his explanations don't make sense. Are you who you really say you are? And rightfully so, because her gut was telling her, right? And so she ends up questioning him in the car and, holding a gun to him, really, to be like, explain. And who are you? And if you really did this, all of that. And it was really profound, because they say that it's a brotherhood, but they really were ride or die, literally ride or die for each other. I mean, the whole organization.
And I think also to that point, like the paranoia that had been creeping up, they did an amazing job in the film explaining that Bill O'Neill was not the only informant and he was not the only person who was taking a deal. And so that was the reason why tensions were high and you had to look around your shoulder. And it is a tense situation. They had guns, they had kids to protect, they had a whole ecosystem kind of how we're keeping Illinois Black people up, and one person inside could be the downfall of that. So it was really, I thought they illustrated that so perfectly. And apparently they did not know about, they didn't have hard evidence of Bill O'Neill's involvement with being an informant, but somehow, some way in 1973, that information became public. I don't necessarily know how that happened. Which is interesting. I'm sure that was detailed in the Eyes on the Prize series, which was a PBS series, of which I have like 22 VHS tapes, because I grew up watching Eyes on the Prize, because my mom was like, well, they're not going to teach them in school. So we definitely saw Eyes on the Prize. Terrifying for a child. It covers Black history. And something that was interesting, heartbreaking, was that Lakeith, his performance is based on an interview that happened with Bill O'Neill for Eyes on the Prize. And he detailed everything in it. So I should go back. I should go dust off the VHS and go see what that episode was player. Like. I know.
Rewind it with your finger.
But he detailed how everything went down in it. You saw footage of that in the movie. And he actually committed suicide when the first episode of Eyes on the Prize came out on January 15th, 1990. And his episode came out February 19th. So he obviously lived with this guilt and this pressure. So And also, this is an interesting thing. We can cut this out because I don't know how much we want to talk about unaliving ourselves. But the way that it was done was him running into traffic and getting hit by a car, which is like so brutal. And then earlier in that same day, apparently he tried to jump out of a window. So it was just like world crashing in.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, because I was curious too, of a couple things. I was like, was he the only informant? Were there others? And then I found that there were 67 at least informants in the Black Panther Party. And it was like, holy moly. And I realized that they had, you know, multiple chapters in these large cities. So maybe that adds up, but that just seemed like so many more than I would have anticipated. Like, you can't trust nobody.
It just takes one too. Like it just takes one.
Exactly. But it's understandable, unfortunately, that, you know, he was at this place of turmoil because, again, as Lakeith had really just portrayed so well, he started to question himself, and he was like playing it was like more than, you know, playing two sides of a coin. It was like it seemed that at least the actor portrayal was like he really believed in it. And even in the interview that you had mentioned that comes at the end of the movie, he was like, I was part of a revolution. And instead of the people who sit back and just watch and see what happens, and you're like, well, you were part of the revolution because you didn't want to go to jail for 6.5 years. You weren't part of the revolution because you had that option. And that was like, you were only part of it because it benefited you not to go to jail for the crimes you committed. So instead you're like, well, let me just go ahead and kind of sell my soul. And so I get how that can eat away at you for so long. And then, you know, they go back and forth between his time with the Black Panthers, having this facade on, just displaying that he, you know, is for the movement and ready to protect Fred and, you know, is all there for everybody. And then they pan over to him at this fancy ass restaurant with the FBI guy, Roy, who's like, so what else can you get? Are you available on this day? We need to get information on this, you know, and here's some money. And he's like, well, all right, you know, back at it. And it's just like the way it's just opposite worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. And that happened with so many people, like you said, over 60 people across the country. And that's what we know. Those are the people that we know. Right. You know how many informants probably get dusted off by the cops in the middle of like a you know, I don't know. They had a shootout in the film. And I don't know how many times that happened, but definitely growing up, my understanding of the Black Panthers was that it was violent and that there was shooting violence. So I can only imagine that in that they just like, oh, we'll get another. Like, it's fine. Like,
yeah. Okay. Well, they even mentioned that this is what I thought was interesting because I thought it was kind of like a turning. I thought it was going to be a turning point of the FBI agent. I wonder if they're still alive. Maybe not. But we can look that up really quick. But I was curious to know, like, was his humanity going to come forward? Because his boss that he was chatting with was like, the FBI guy was kind of questioning him, like, wait, so you had an informant kill another informant, and the informant that killed the person is not going to be held accountable? And then the boss is like, well, no, of course not. Why would we do that?
I don't think there's humanity in this. I just don't.
No, there's not. But but Roy specifically, at least the way that the actor was portraying it, I felt like there was going to be this change of heart. And maybe I just was totally misled from, you know, but I thought that there was going to be this change of heart of like, wait, we're having people kill people and let them get away with it and call it anything else besides what it is. And he's like, are y'all okay with that? And then he gets Roy's getting questioned by his boss about like, oh, how's your family? How's your daughter? Is your son? Yeah. How's your son doing? He's in T-ball. Yeah. And Roy's like, you can tell that he's like, hold on, like, don't bring my family into this. You know, and he didn't think that he was doing anything outside of what that mission was or whatever. And so to me, it seemed like that humanity piece of him was going to kick in and be like, sayonara, good luck, adios. But actually it got worse because then he's like, hold on, you're not going to, threaten my family. But it just, it didn't work. Even with Bill, it seemed like he was maybe going to make a turn because he was getting so anxious and scared and paranoid and having to flip from, being all about the Black Panthers. And then that shootout happens and he's like, hold on, they're going to kill me.
Yep.
And so then he goes to the roof and that's the first person that was spotted. And I thought that was interesting. There's like, hold on, like that was short-lived, I guess pun intended. But then they start shooting at the roof and then he, runs out and just hops in a car and goes. Like, where are you going? And the fact that nobody saw him, leave, I was like, if only they knew.
Right. I don't know if that actually happened. My guess is that it didn't, but it did a great job of illustrating that the idea that you as a person who's in a marginalized community can somehow find a way around being marginalized by working with the oppressor, you will be shot first. And they won't give a damn.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you think you get over on somebody by working. Like, there's no way to do it.
This was like the pinnacle of if you can't beat them, join them.
And then they'll kill you.
Right.
like they'll kill you while you're wearing their clothes. Like, right. It's not it. And I don't know. I thought they did a great job. And some of that humanity that you're seeing, and I felt that too, I think was for Lakeith Stanfield's benefit, because people do link characters and actions of characters with actors. And for publicity's sake, we need to make sure that we understand a struggle. Jesse Plemons, who plays the Roy Mitchell, we needed him to have a second guessing thought because Jesse Plemons is a star. And, we need to make sure the audience understands, like, there might be something. No, nothing, but,
I'm a sucker. I fell for it.
Yeah, it's like necessary for publicity reasons. But also being a hopeful person, I would hope that these second guesses and these second thoughts would have actually occurred. Now, found out Roy Mitchell did pass away in year 2000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Imagine what it would be like if Fred Hampton passed away in year 2000.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of world would we live in? Yeah. It's never fair, but we do have this beautiful movie to commemorate the legacy of Fred Hampton and reteach some history that definitely slipped through the cracks. Like, yeah, I knew about Rainbow Coalition and Fred Hampton and that he was killed, but we definitely didn't get all the ins and outs. Well, I didn't get the ins and outs of the betrayal by Bill O'Neill, how involved the FBI was, and I'm sure that was by design. My grade school was so Nancy Reagan. Like, we were definitely having to watch Eyes on the Prize at home, Yeah. So I'm glad that they made this movie. It came out at the right time. The performances were amazing. And the story, I mean, just being in St. Louis, but right next to Ferguson and remembering those stories so clearly, I can't help but to think it's these same things are still happening. Like, just look up Iron Fist. You'll see information from the 2017 leak. And it's just same old stuff. So it's still a little bit depressing, but yeah, I don't know if I have a better note to sum up.
No, that's okay.
The connection here.
I mean, there's that. And then also for everyone, if you haven't already, I'm a little behind the curve because I did not watch it when it first came out. This is the first time that I've watched it. But, I understand a little bit of the premise, but maybe similarly, the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. It was February 2021, I believe that it came out. And so it was like a different place I was at, mentally, and not able to, and that's okay. It's okay to not be in a space to sort of traumatize yourself, especially because the end, that was really graphic. And I
God.
was like, oh my gosh, like, even if it's dramatized or not, like still holy moly. Like,
I will tell you, when I watched the second time, I didn't watch the last 20 minutes because I'd
that's
seen
fair.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little much, but one look is enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I just got a little emotional thinking about it just because of the Breonna Taylor. Like it's just
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I thought the same thing when I saw it too, because it was very, not even reminiscent, because so Breonna Taylor's murder is reminiscent of Fred Hampton's, totally out of nowhere and for not the right things.
yeah. And there's oh my God. There are pictures
Yeah.
of the
I
police
remember seeing the picture.
officers. Well, you saw the crime scene, I'm sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But did you also see the police officers carrying the body bag with Fred Hampton out?
No.
Don't look at it. They are all smiling ear to ear. Smiling ear to ear. It's like, bro, like, yeah, I don't know. We can't pretend that this isn't real, I guess. Like
Yeah.
we can't pretend that that our fears are based on nothing. We can't pretend that our experiences are make believe. You
Right.
know, they're smiling. Do you recommend people watch this movie or something else regarding Fred Hampton? Like, how did you feel about the education that you got from the movie versus what you've read thus far?
Uh, I would say it depends on the mind state, the frame of mind that you're in. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it is graphic. It's probably going to be graphic regardless. It's not a
Absolutely.
story that lacks pain and anguish and you know, death and a fight.
Yeah.
And so you know, there are different ways of giving information, but the information that you're receiving is still very traumatic.
Yeah.
And so yes, I recommend the movie with discretion. It's okay to look away. It's okay to close your eyes.
Yeah.
If you'd rather read about it, read about it, but you know, that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily lack the context or you know, how the story is told to form an image in your mind when you
Yeah.
read those kinds of things. So pick whichever medium that you'd like, but definitely learn more.
Yeah.
Or maybe even, you know, I might actually look up this as well to see if there's a book that goes more into detail of like Fred Hampton's life,
Right.
maybe even his son and his fiance. Like, what did they do after?
Oh.
What does that look like? Because it looks like he's Fred Hampton Jr. is a leader
Mm-hmm.
of a civil rights organization, and same with his mom. And so, you know, what does that afterlife look like? What happened to the Black Panther Party after that in terms of like the shock wave that likely
Mm-hmm.
was sent through the organization. So, you know, again, you can get all of those details, but also still understand that it might come with some triggers.
Absolutely.
What about
Absolutely.
you? What do you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think this movie has created questions that I wish I had asked myself younger, but I'm asking them now. So I'm excited to have this to go forward into learning more and more about the 60s and the 70s and how we are where we are. And I think that this movie does a wonderful job depicting not only the historical the happenings, like the events, but I also think that it does a great job of explaining and portraying humans as humans within the events to make it easier to understand that what happened in 2017 is the same thing that happened in 1969. Like we can really
Mm-hmm.
connect it thanks to Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya and Dominique Fishback, who is my queen, and she's
Mm-hmm.
coming for your next Hollywood. But like, yeah, I think they all did an amazing job, and I'm glad that this story got told. And I'm sorry that this is a story that's able to be told.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Donna, it's time for Now You Know. Because this is such a heavy thing, like nothing about the Fred Hampton story is light, like you said. And also regarding his life, he's so tragically young, and his activity was about 3 years, and a lot of that was spent in prison. So there's a lot of stunting. So I really needed to step away and really needed to lighten up. So I have a Now You Know that is pure joy. It's pure fun.
Give us the joy.
So my Now You Know is completely light, just because this is a heavy thing. I just want to suggest a music group for your listening pleasure. I love music, I love voices, and there is a British girl group that is coming out. And also, I started this music thing with the Spice Girls, just so everyone knows. Like when the Spice Girls came out, I was there. That was when I first started being like, oh, music videos, MTV, yada, yada, yada. Like this is what's happening. So the fact that this girl group is coming out from the UK, they are all Black. It's very much so Destiny's Child. The music is harkening back to the early 2000s, which, I mean, it's cheetah-licious, so maybe not for everybody, but I love it. Their group name is Flow, FLW, and it's 3 young ladies who can sing down. I highly recommend watching their Vivo Discover performance, Feature Me, or Not My Job. They only have a few songs out. They only have 1 EP out, but I think that they're going to be absolutely huge, and I want you all to listen to them. They make pop, R&B, and they're just so talented, and we have to support our Black girls. Like people don't want to support the Black girls, so I'm just want you guys to listen to them. I want them to win, and it's a great pick me up after you watch a movie like Judas and the Black Messiah.
I love that, you said it's giving Destiny's Child, it's giving Spice Girls. Like that is literally a 90s child dream performers of that time. So that sounds like fun. That definitely sounds like a game changer.
Yes.
And definitely a pick me up after something. This episode. Sorry, y'all.
Get with flow.
It's a heavy one. Yeah,
it is a heavy episode. It is a heavy episode. But you know what? Like you said, it's a heavy story, and this is real history, and that's what we're here to do, like learn. So we got a movie out there that will help you learn it, and we have music out there that'll help you soothe afterwards.
Before y'all log off, we know that MLK Day is coming up. His birthday's on the 15th, but it's celebrated on the 3rd Monday of the month, which will be here on the 16th. And so check out I Am Not Your Negro by James Baldwin. That's the episode that we did January of 2021. And then also for 2020, which is crazy because we're in our 3rd year of doing this podcast.
Crazy.
We had our episode specifically for Martin Luther King Jr. Back in January of 2020. So those are a couple episodes to maybe check out for this month, especially as we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. And in a hot second, we're going to be in our Black History Month. So we need t-shirts or something.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all next month.
See ya.
Of course.